Today I'm going to be making an arrowhead out of the top of a can. This one's been removed, so we're just going to use the top. You can also use the bottom. This material is kind of lightweight. You can score it even with a knife blade and then break it with pliers or your hands by working it back and forth, where it'll break along the score line. Or a Swiss Army knife, the file in there will cut this fairly easily. There's all kinds of ways you can cut this. Due to keep the video kind of short on this, I'm going to use my snips. I'll cheat. Chances are good if I'm having to do this, I'm not going to have snips, so I'm going to have to do it the hard way. I've done it just for grins. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it does work. For this purpose, I'm going to make a tang point. Those are reference lines for later. I'm leaving this wider. You'll see why here in a little bit. These probably won't be of a size to be legal for hunting, which if you're using these again, legality probably really doesn't matter if your life's on the line. Anybody that thinks that is going to have a bad day if you're not willing to do whatever to keep you alive. You got to be alive to be judged and tried by a jury, and chances are, if you're doing it to survive, I'm not saying they're going to let you off, but it's going to be a lot easier. Now, if you're doing it just to do it, that's a whole different world, and they don't have a sense of humor about any of this. This is just for demonstration. I'm not advocating doing it. But there's your arrowhead. As you can see, it's fairly light. It's not exactly, I didn't take my time with the shape, but it's close enough to the shape that you kind of get the idea. Okay, now you take your hammer stone. That's why I drew these two reference lines, and find an edge. Without smashing your fingers. Drive that over. What we're doing is adding a strengthening rib right down the center. It don't necessarily have to be pretty. Whatever gets shot by this really isn't going to care. Stabbed, whatever. But it'll greatly strengthen the head. This is the part you want to be careful, because these are relatively sharp. Okay, you got your first curve bent. Now you go back through, and very carefully, like I said, these are sharp, so you bend it back out. Last thing you really want to do in this situation is cut yourself. So let your tools do your work if you can. This is by no means pretty. But with a little work sharpening it up, it'll do its job, and it's a lot stiffer. It would work once or twice, and if you barb these a little more as you work, you could, now that you kind of know your template, you know where to cut it bigger and whatnot. I would use this as it is. If you're going after fish or something, leave them a little longer, barb them so it don't want to pull back so easy. You can lash it onto any pole, stick, whatever, your arrow, light lance. If you cut strips out of a plastic bottle, you can tie it in. I'll do this here in a little while. But this is your point, one of them. This is a very small lance or an arrowhead. Like I said, usually stuff like this isn't real pretty. It's just designed to work.